All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded by the Community Relations and Education Committee. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go with the roll call. Councilor Gilmore, I am present. Councilor Jarvis.
Present.
Councilor Hirschfield.
Here.
Councilor Mayo. Okay, Councilor Mayo waved. Can you come off of mute? They probably want you to say here for... Okay, so it seems like Councilor Mayo might be having some technical problems. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear us? Okay, he gave me a thumbs up, so he can hear me, but he can't come off of mute. Hopefully that gets resolved in time for any voting that we have to do. Okay, so everyone is here, except we're still missing Councilor Ricketts. I'm sorry, not everyone is here. Next on the agenda, we have approval of minutes from August 17th and September 21st. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Jarvis.
Okay, moved by Jarvis. Councilor Mayo's giving me a thumbs up. So second. Oh, did I hear you? Say it. Can you speak again, Doug?
No.
I thought I heard him for a second there. Okay. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? Okay. Seeing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, nobody is opposed. We have nobody from the school department here. We don't have any other department heads here. So the discussion is going to be about reforming public comment. And for this, I'm going to see if I can.
We got it under control now.
Oh, good, good. Councilor Mayo is able to join us for the discussion, so that is important. So since you have the freshest microphone, I'll let you go first. Do you have any thoughts on public comment?
As to whether or not there should be public comment or
it says reformatting public comment. I don't think anyone's saying that we shouldn't have it. That's not my interpretation anyways.
In terms of timing, I think 3 minutes is still a good time. I always think public it gives us a good gauge as to where the residents of Greenfield feel, how they feel, what they think is important. So hearing that is important because we don't always get to see or talk to many of our residents. There's 2,200 or 2,300 in each precinct, so we don't always get around that many. So public comment can give an opportunity for them to talk to us about the things that are bothering them, or things that they see, or things that they want, or things that are important to them.
Does anyone else have any thoughts before adding public comment?
Yeah, Michelle. Ed. Yeah, I think it would be. I thought this was Penny's. She had some ideas about how she wanted to see it maybe reformed a little bit. I wish she was here so she could fill us in, because wasn't this didn't this come from Councilor Ricketts?
Yes. So at committee chairs, President Stemple put this on our agenda, and then Councilor Ricketts retracted her. I don't think she had a written proposal. I think she had sent an email, and she said never mind. But President Stemple still felt like it was important for us to have this discussion and think about some of the issues. I mean, it used to be the public comment was at the end, and a lot of residents felt sort of disenfranchised because we would vote. Not we, I wasn't even on the council, but like the council would vote, and then people would come in and just be, I'm really disappointed in how you just voted. I wanted to say this, and this, but it doesn't mean anything anymore because you've already voted. I guess the only hope at that point is that a counselor who had voted on the prevailing side could always, you know, make a motion to reconsider. But, once you're done with a vote, it kind of feels like you're not going to do that unless it feels like you're not using time well, and it feels inconvenient to the rest of the council. So unless there's some sort of like new information that comes to light, I don't feel like a lot of people would use that. So then we had it at the beginning, and I think there got to be this sense that people were using this as an organizing tool to kind of like keep us up past our bedtimes, to sort of like, they kind of have us cornered in a way because, we're in these meetings and we've got to be there, and then we've got these votes that we want to take. So there was an element of room packing that was going on that I understand why people want to do that, but I also completely empathize with people who didn't want to hear, especially if it's the same stories, month in and month out. So, we're trying to find that perfect little place, and I don't think we found it yet. Oh, then we moved to public comment so that the department heads would speak first so that they could go home, and then the public spoke. But then we've got the public doesn't even start speaking till 8. If you're a public school teacher, you have to be up super early, so you don't want to be out until 8:30, 9 o'clock for public comment. So I mean, it's really hard to find that perfect balance.
Yeah, I think it works fine where it is right now. I believe that the administrations, the department heads really need to go home at a fairly reasonable time. I don't want to hear that they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 4 a.m. So so when our meetings get over at 11, I get 6 hours sleep. So
If I get up at 4 in the morning, it's because my cat, but that's it.
but yeah. So
Mine too.
I think it's working fine where it is. I think the 2 minutes. I just wish that some of these groups that come to us would maybe get together and write one letter and have one speaker, and they could always under the rules bow their time to the speaker that's at the table, so we don't listen to 16 people for 3 minutes each repeat the same message that we just heard. I mean, I get it. I mean, I was a union president for years. Um, I get what they're trying to do, but at the end of the day, I think we're all intelligent people and we get it. So sometimes it just gets a little frustrating. And I know it gets frustrating to me. Um,
Yeah.
I wish they would I wish the unions would do something a little bit different when it comes time to give us a message.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I know. I tell my union that all the time. I mean, we've got stuff going on at UMass right now, and they're talking about doing this stuff. And I tried to tell people, I'm like, from my perspective, being on the other side of that, there comes a time when like you don't make your mind up at the meeting. You do your homework and you make up your mind. Maybe if there was some compelling information that I had never heard before, that might give me pause. But in general, I feel like I know how I'm going to vote before the meeting starts, because otherwise I didn't do my due diligence, right? So it feels like maybe this is the time. CRE is a good time for people to come and talk to us about community relations issues. EDC is a good place to go if you're concerned about a certain business coming into town or getting a TIF or something like that.
yep.
But because that's when we're still making up our minds, right? But we would have to get the word out to the residents, you know? I don't know. Again, it's like it's not going to be easy to find a really great solution that works for everybody. And I think that's the challenge. Is we just have to find the best solution. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts, Councilor Hirschfeld?
The only thing I can think of, I like it the way it is, except when we have like uh, 25 or 30 people who want to speak and we allow 3 minutes. If we have that many, maybe we should cut it down to 2 minutes. If there are that many people who want to speak, it's nice if they're organized and if they don't repeat, the same thing over and over again. I think
Mhm.
their numbers are good or are important to let us know uh, where people stand. Um, but uh, I'm retired, and I would hate to have to go and get up early in the morning if I were a regular uh, working guy, and having to go to a meeting that lasts till 11:30 or 12 o'clock. I think that's pushing it. I think
Yeah.
after 11 o'clock, I think your mind is pretty mush. That's been my experience, and so that's one thing I would uh, be concerned about. I think that a lot of that's also up to the president of the council to make sure that the what's on the agenda uh, is not long enough that it really just keeps extending the meeting beyond a certain time. Um, Maybe we need a special, if in the case that if we need to go further, I think we need a special meeting to break it up.
Yeah. That's a suggestion I've heard too, was having 2 meetings a month, one meeting for public comment, and then another meeting for us to vote and just do business, which might
Yeah,
be an interesting thing to explore.
yeah. I think when we have a lot on our agenda, I mean, we've had 2 meetings a month when we've had really overpacked agenda or when
Hmm.
been time constraints. Um, so that's always a possibility. Um,
Yeah.
but, I think it's important for people to be able to speak their mind. Uh, right now, there's very few people who come online who join us, so this is not a problem.
Mhm.
But when we
Right.
go back to our regular meetings, hopefully at some point, at some year, uh,
Someday.
yeah, someday, yeah, uh, it's really it's to me it's really depends on how we organize how the meetings are organized to begin with. Um, I saw meetings
Mhm.
that when Brickett was president, he let them go until I don't know, it was 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. I think that's crazy. I
Yeah.
think it's destructive. Um,
Yeah, and I feel like I'm not at my best if we've been sitting in those chairs for, 3 or 4 hours. I'm really not in my prime.
no, no one is. I mean, if you, you know, those who have to get up the next morning and go to work, especially early, uh, it's hard. It's really hard. It's something's got to give, and you're
Yeah.
not going to be at your best certainly after probably after 9:30. I know when I was on the co-op board, that was the end of our meeting time, unless we had an executive session. And we
Mhm.
felt by 9 o'clock really was when we were uh, uh, our minds kind of start to turn to mush.
Great.
Um,
Yeah.
so uh, so anyway, it's important for the whoever the president is of the council to look at the agenda and organize it.
Mhm.
And especially when you know you're going to have a big uh, input from citizens. So
Yeah, and I think that Counselor Semple has been doing a really good job of anticipate, you know, what's going to take up a lot of time, what can wait, what needs our attention right now. So I think if we keep moving forward with that, that would help.
Yeah.
Counselor Mayo, did I see your hand
Yes.
up?
I, if I may, Madam Chair, uh, I do agree that if there are really complex issues that I've heard it multiple times tonight, that if it could be possibly broken up into pieces that we, that uh, and then talk and then vote somewhere down the line, but still have a clear understanding as to what we're talking about at the end. Um, we've had some very complex issues come before the council, and it takes more than one meeting, I think, wrap both counselor and resident. It takes maybe a couple of meetings, and if there's a complex issue, it behooves the council president to it would work in her favor, I think, if if there was a possible way that she could break it up into um, smaller chunks so that you could digest it better, you could think about it better, you could uh, um, uh, you're not crammed with a bunch of stuff like in past meetings we were given packets of 150 pages, and it was overwhelming. um,
Yeah,
to kind of read the stuff, and if you didn't get a chance to look at the stuff prior to the meeting, it was like uh, uh, turn to page 53, turn now change to 75, and now we're on 102. It doesn't give you a chance to even read what is being presented. um, and that and especially if they're complex issues, if they're just quick motions, then I can understand that. That's those motions usually go really quickly, but sometimes there's issues like the library or something like that. There are complex issues, or the fire station, or things of that nature that people. I'm looking on social media now, and people just do not understand what we have been saying and what council has been saying on the temporary fire station, because just on social media today, um, I think it was called a website called Seriously Greenfield, Serious for Greenfield, or something of that nature. They didn't understand. They were openly saying, "I don't understand why we need two fire stations." And Danny came on scene and said, "Pick up today's newspaper," you know, and gave her a link to today's newspaper, and it had an article about a temporary the temporary one, and the one and the one afterwards. So you're going to need two uh, for one time for a bit, because where are the equipment and the men going to sleep? You know, they're not gonna sleep in the woods, and wait for a call. So anyway,
I don't know. Maybe Ed could tell us more about this. You want to hang out? Although I think you're fine with sleeping in the woods, right?
Yes, I am. And when we say we didn't sleep, we were at work waiting for a call. I do say that those guys do work very, very hard now. I always tell the old story when I first started. We did like 400 or something calls a year, and now they're doing close to 3,000 calls a year. So the down
Right.
their downtime is very, very different now. Um, yeah, I wish people would read the paper a little bit. I think the mayor did a pretty good job in their last article explaining the needs of the fire department and the library. I kind of wish that came out a little bit earlier so people could have wrapped their heads around it. I think it the timing could have been a little bit better. But anywho, hopefully
Yeah.
people the needs there. I mean, there's no it's gonna have to happen. I mean, but you know,
Right.
I,
And to segue back into this discussion about public comment, like there are some times when I wish that we could respond to the public when
yeah,
they come, and sometimes they ask questions, and the chair always has to tell people that, this isn't a dialogue, which it can be here. When I was chairing
yeah,
A&O, I would always allow residents to kind of dialogue with us, especially if we had a small group. And I feel like we got so much out of that because instead of like all of us, the four of us, we meet every month and, with Petty usually, but we already like, we have our opinions and we have our personalities, but sometimes you bring in that extra person and it just like, it adds that extra sort of creative energy. So it would be nice if it was more of a dialogue, but I think that would only work on the subcommittee level, unless we're just going to have like all day from 8 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I believe the subcommittee would be the place for it, and it's too bad that even if we advertised it as part of the agenda and had like people from the fire department committee here to answer those questions, I don't know
Yeah.
what we'd get for a draw. I mean, so
That would actually, now that you mention it, that would be really, really great if we did have a little bit more of that. It's probably too late to set that up because we're getting ready to vote on this, but yeah, if we had, because you're our council representative on that committee, and then, if chief came in and people could come ask questions and maybe a representative from the library committee, because some of these questions sort of border on each other, right? But maybe that's something to think about moving forward with, how we envision the mission of CRE, sort of bringing these things together.
yeah, I think it would be a great place for them to come and ask their questions. If
Yeah.
even it's the fire department or the DPW or the health department, the building department, any of the town departments, I think it would be a great place for them to ask, vent out their concerns or their misconceptions, and maybe ask the questions that they want to ask, and they want to hear it personally from the person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we did a little bit of that with the police department when people, in light of the, there was the police brutality cases, there were protests, and there were people who were talking about defunding the police. And I feel like we learned a lot about not just police departments in general, but our police department in Greenfield. And it was interesting to kind of hear that our numbers don't match up with the national numbers. Which is a good thing. We're doing better than a lot of places. So I was happy to discover that. But maybe moving forward, those are the kinds of projects that we take on here. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. As far as public comment goes, is this something we want to keep talking about and maybe sort of draft a recommendation for the president and vice president to consider? Or do we want to wait for Councilor Ricketts?
I think we wait for Councilor Ricketts and see what Penny's inputs are on it, seeing that she brought it forward. I mean, I just hate for her to just drop it because maybe she got some backlash or maybe some some disagreement on it or something like that. But I really think that I think that we should I think that I really agree that if we have complex issues, maybe once or twice or three times a year, we have a meeting just for the public comment part of it, and before our city council meeting, maybe a week ahead of time, and handle the public comment on the issues. Then we hear them. Then it'll give us a week to digest it. I'm
Yeah.
not saying we need to do it all the time, but only when we have like a huge agenda. I think it would
Mhm.
help.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And it's possible that maybe she retracted that statement. Maybe she knew she wasn't going to be available tonight, and maybe that's why she retracted it. So, but yeah, I'm happy to talk about this again in December, and we can hear from her. And if we can all kind of think about how we think things might work, we might be able to find a way that works a little better.
Are we talking about a placement of where? Interrupt you. Where we want the comments to be, or 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 how we want them, um, um, how we place them in terms of importance. Like if we have a very complex issue, do we want to um, break it up into three areas of comments, or as Councillor Jarvis was saying, maybe have it three a week before, the comments a week before, and knock down some of those comments that might come before the council, and then we won't be there till 11:30 answering the same question. I do think
Yeah, I mean, I
so.
think that could work. I mean, I'm trying to picture what it would be like with some of the different topics that we've addressed since you and I have been on the council. Because you and I, yeah, we're like we started the same day, didn't we? So, I'm trying to think about, we've had the library, we've had school funding, we've had the fire station is still going. Um, Safe cities, that was another big one. We've had a lot of issues like that where it was more than one meeting where we had these discussions. So it does make sense to kind of break it down. And then we have other ones where, we're voting on the budget
Well, we have
and
the homelessness on the tent, or the tents.
oh,
The
yes, how can I forget?
council would look for. That was a multi meeting one that we
Mhm.
talked about, and still are talking about. But
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
it's very complex. Those are the type of topics that we're not going to resolve in 6 meetings or 12 meetings. We have to decide what our priorities are going to be as a town, and decide that, are we going to build low cost housing? And
Mhm.
that's a town administration decision, uh, backed by the council. Um, and
Right.
that's that I can see that as a uh, uh, multi discussion phase.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if we can all kind of like think about putting our heads together on this, I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like if we limited public comment to the subcommittees, it might be more beneficial as far as like getting information out early and hearing from our constituents while we're still making decisions. My only concern there is not everyone attends every subcommittee. So if someone's talking about something on EDC, I might not hear about it. I try to keep up with the meetings, but I mean, I'm a busy girl. So I don't always get, I don't always get to see everything. So, but yeah, let's keep talking about this, and we're not going to make a decision without Penny since it was her brainchild. Do we have any more like closing thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, Sheila, just one from Ed. I think maybe if we sent an email to the whole council, maybe get some of their thoughts on it too, so we can kind of like compile, the other 9 members of the council how they feel about it too, or maybe some
That's a
ideas
good
that
idea.
they might have.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We have some folks that aren't able to attend with us, right? Just like I was saying, I can't always attend with all of you.
Exactly.
All right. So if that's all, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Unless you guys want to talk a little more.
Now, motion to adjourn, Hirschfeld.
All right. Second. Can you say it out
Second.
loud? All right. Second, Mayo. All right. So 6:33. I got a motion to adjourn from Hirschfeld. Second by Mayo. All in favor, say aye.
I
Okay, opposed? All right, so our next meeting is on December 21st, 2020 at 6 p.m. City Hall Meeting Room, second floor, or via WebEx if required. And I am going to end this meeting. You gentlemen have a lovely evening.